Women, this is why you are angry right now. This is why you are pissed. Here's the deal. Why women are angry, women who are on a spiritual path, or women who are awakening and healing and growing and coming into their own selves and their own power. You are angry because you are doing everything. You are doing it all on your own. You are mature. You have done the work. You have dealt with so much shit. You have walked through so much in your life. The world expects so much of you. And if you are a mother, you have carried the entirety of the load, the mental, emotional load, and most likely the physical load as well, because that seems to be the norm right now, like mainstream, from what I can gather from my work with clients and just generally looking at, in forums online and people's opinions and talks and things like that. So here's why you're angry. If you're giving, and you are supporting yourself emotionally, nourishing yourself, looking after yourself, and taking care of a family, and you're taking care of a man as well who is not reciprocating that, right? And that man is wanting to be in your energy. And a lot of mothers say this, it's like, I'm so effing exhausted. I'm so tired, so exhausted. I get no time to myself. And my husband comes to me and he wants to be intimate. And then I'm like, oh, I've got the ick because he's not meeting any of my needs. Doesn't listen to me. He doesn't make time for me. He doesn't do anything special for me. And I feel so unsupported. And so when I don't want to do that, he then gets pissed and has a tantrum, or he says, yeah, but I need that so that I can do all these things for you. I need that. I need that so that I can feel okay and then I can give you more. So it becomes transactional. And this is what I'm saying. So women at the moment are feeling rage about that. And here's why. Here is why. Because what's moving through at the moment in the collective feminine and masculine energies is really huge. And this goes right back to pre-colonial times or around that time. So when women were persecuted, when the patriarchal energies, okay, so when the church came in and when everything went down around the papal bulls and the doctrine of discovery was rolled out and the hammer of witches, when witches were burned, right? It was not witches who were burned. What happened was, back in those times, if you were a woman who glowed, like a woman who had that energy, who was activated in their energy, right? And was capable, could get shit done, like you create magic, right? You have an alluring energy, okay? And you tend to trigger men. And men want that energy. But what they recognize in you is the energy that comes from your base, which is your sexual energy, right? Now, for women who are activated and awakened and healed, they're not in that lusty energy like outward, right? But men recognize and pick up that energy. Women who are healed and awakened, and particularly mothers who have been through this transition and have, come into maturation, and especially around, middle age where that energy kind of kicks off and matures. This is where you start to create with this energy, okay? And you pour it into your home and you pour it into your craft, your business, your creativity, whatever it is for you, all right? So when this rolled out and these women were, back in the day, these women went through this process, men were triggered by that and did not like that. Women started to say no, okay? Women were saying no. And these patriarchal energies and regimes rolled on in, and they did not like these women, okay? So it was these women the women who were connected, who worked with nature. It was generally healers, midwives, women who do holy work, right? Do women who work with herbs, plant medicines, basically outside of, you know, the medical industry that was being set up at the time, because that's what happened. The church came in and they established the medical industry, and so then doctors and, you know, all of that replaced all of that. So that you can look up the history of that. Anyway, it's on the Empress Rising website. There's a little bit about that in Our Philosophy. You can read up on that, and there's a link to the Doctrine of Discovery and the Suppression of Feminine Energy, what happened around colonization and all of that. Anyway, so women were burned, right? Women were burned, drowned, babies were ripped from our arms. And the reason for that is because of that energy, because we were in truth, because we had boundaries, because we could see straight through and we could not be controlled. Okay, so on a very deep, energetic, and visceral level, on a collective scale, this is still playing out in the collective consciousness, and it's playing out in relationships, right, between women and men, and this patriarchal energies, right? This is getting loud now because things are starting to really shift, and it's those energies, right, from back then, that masculine energy, that's starting to rise to the surface to be transformed and cleared out. So back in the day, what would happen is if we stood in our power as spiritual women, as activated women, as mature women, we were persecuted. We were burnt. Like, it was brutal. And I have memory of this. I've worked with this in a lot of healings. I've done a lot of soul retrieval. So I've seen, heard, felt, and smelt some stuff in my time. It's like, I've seen things that would make grown men run for the hills in these healings with these women in past life stuff and ancestral stuff. It's insane. And even for myself, like, I've got solid memory of that. So this is playing out now, right? And you probably notice, if you tune in, if this is resonating with you and you're feeling like just this visceral rage around it, or even if you really you just don't understand it, this will probably resonate. When this happens for you and you say no, or you speak your truth, right, with any men in your life, and you watch their reaction, all right, and you see how they behave, just really lean into that and expand yourself into the collective and kind of try and look at it from an expanded lens. Because what's happening now is the men who react to women saying no, or to women expressing their truth and saying, well, this is not balanced for me, and this is, I need you to come to me in a way that doesn't just take from my energy, because I'm not just an object, or I'm not just here to serve you, okay, when my needs are not being met. If you see how these men react, right, or you see what happens or what goes on, you're going to see the modern day representation, or the modern day expression of burning the witch. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out, because these Corellas are going mental over the top of me right now. So that's like big energy, really big energy. So it's playing out now. And this is about sexual trauma. This is about men taking from women. This is about the harvesting of feminine energy, which comes from the womb space, right? That's sexual energy. And it's about the base level lust desires of men, of masculine, okay? And that being only sitting down in a base level and not connected to the heart. So a lot of women who are listening to me right now will know the difference between that base level connection and that heart connection. So really tune in, because if you're feeling rage, or you're feeling like I just have no desire or whatever, or this is playing out for you in your relationship, it 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 is a part of a bigger thing that's playing out right now in the collective. So we're really seeing that start to raise to the surface, and we're seeing a lot in the collective around women's safety, and women not feeling safe in the world. There's a lot of discussion around that, and a lot that seems to be a really big theme coming up. So that is really all I wanted to talk about this morning. I wanted to reflect on that, because yeah, it's like, here's one thing I heard is, and I've heard this before, oh, well, your energy's just so alluring, right? Your energy's just so alluring. And women hear this all the time, women who are, the divine feminine energy. Yes, it is alluring. And men will say, I can't help it, particularly in relationship. Like, if you're in an intimate relationship and there's that kind of expectation that, intimacy is, it's an expectation, which I'll go into that another time, because women are so tired and exhausted and they have so many expectations, particularly mothers. It's the men will say, but you're so alluring and you're so beautiful, and you make me feel this way, so it's like, well, why can't I have that? And then it becomes this thing, and it's a really common point of conflict for so many couples, particularly like women with small children, so who generally are mostly my audience. So hello mamas, I see you, and you're not alone in this. Like, I hear this all the time. This you are alluring, and your energy is magnetic and radiant, and it is to be respected and honored. And it is okay for you. It is okay for you to say no. It is okay for you to want that energy, to demand that energy be respected and treated as sacred. Okay. And the thing is, when you stand in that and you demand that you are treated as sacred, because you are, if that creates a breakdown in your relationship, that foundation is not solid. That is a part of the old template. Okay. That is the old paradigm. And if you're okay with that and being in that, and that just being how it is, and that, like, that's okay. But I'm talking to the women who are just like, I can't do this. I can't be in this. Like, I feel so drained. Yeah, it's okay to speak up. It is okay to stand in that, despite what your couples therapist says, despite what the mainstream advice is, or relationship experts and whatever, despite what anybody says in the mainstream about, needing to give and needing to meet each other, and, needing to have his needs met. If you do not feel honored in that energy, it's okay for you to stand up despite what happens. So if he's gonna burn the witch, he doesn't deserve to be in that energy. Okay. And it's safe now, right? We're not going to be physically burned or drowned or anything like that anymore. And this is what I'm seeing, is women are standing up, rising up, and they're walking away. And you know what? That energy, when you treat it as sacred, and demand it be treated as sacred, you're going to create. You are going to create with that energy. Okay. You will be guided, supported. You will be fine. I'm not telling you to leave your relationship, okay? But I am saying to you, it is okay to demand that you are treated as sacred. And it's okay to say no, and it is okay to say, I am not okay to be in that energy. I am not okay to open my energy in that way when it does not feel safe or aligned for me to do so. If I cannot open fully into that energy with you, I do not wish to open up fully in that. And that is sacred relationship. So if that is what your heart is longing for, and that is what you know is to be true for you, stand in that, stand in it, and see what happens. Okay, either the transformation will happen and that man will rise up to meet you, or or the truth will be revealed. Okay, and you will be okay, you will be supported. So that's all I wanted to say for anyone who might be in that. It's a really big theme right now, particularly in I'm seeing like this the movement of mothers who are in this like crunchy movement and holistic movement, where they're starting to move into those values of, you know, going back to the way of living and the paradigm that we were in back then, with, you know, herbal, like home birthing and doulas and midwives. There's this real movement now back to that way of being. And so the women are wanting to move into that, but I'm seeing that there's this misalignment in their foundation, or their home life, or their relationships. It's like a lot of women, their heart is calling for that lifestyle and to build that and to return to that way of being. And that is a calling deep within you to return to that sacred, to return to that balance and return to that natural way of being. And that goes back, taking us back before the patriarchy and colonization and the medical system rollout, and like when hospitals were set up and all of that kind of stuff. So it is it's such so much deeper and broader and quite complex. But this movement, I can see what's happening with that in terms of where the women are being called to go. But I can't see a conscious connection. I don't think the women, or majority of the women that are feeling called to move into that way of being, I don't think that they're really quite consciously seeing the bigger picture of that, and how important it is to be in full alignment with that. Because these women who were, you know, living that way, they were activated women who stood in their power, and they were protected by, you know, strong, stable men who supported their energy, who treated them as sacred. So these men treated women as sacred. Okay, so what happened when the you know, the church came in, and the, you know, like when that all happened, I'm just going to say the patriarchy, right? They influenced a lot of men in these communities to turn against these women, okay? And it was greed and lust and all of that. So it's rolling out and playing out, and a lot of that is still sitting in, you know, and playing out in the masculine template. So there's a lot of karmic stuff going on. I know this, I'm not really flowing with that, but a lot of this is very karmic and rolling out very subtly in the collective energies, and it has to come up to be seen, to be put right. So you're going to find a lot of relationships and soul contracts and past life stuff is really being balanced out right now. So yeah, if you know, you know. It might not make sense to you. Take it or leave it. Take what resonates. I hope that this has helped anybody who might be experiencing this. But women, you are allowed to demand to be treated as sacred, because your energy is the creation energy. And if you are trying to create a life and create a lifestyle that honors that, you must be in alignment with that, and you must be willing to let go of any energies, relationships, anything that's not in alignment with that. And that includes your most primary intimate relationship. That's the reality. So, yeah, I'm working with a lot of women moving through this. So, in solidarity, I've been there too. I've been a single mum. I walked and chose me, and it's a big journey. It is a really big journey. So please honor yourself. Please honor yourself. I will speak more about this. There's another thing I want to unpack. It's around sexual trauma, and some of the women tuning in will relate to this, but I will speak about that in another video because that is a part of all of this, and putting that right. So please take care of yourselves. It's really big energy at the moment. I love you all so much. I hope this has helped. This has been a really big thought dump coffee session and a little bit of a different energy, but that's all I have to say for this morning. I love you, women.